Hello, Nigeria. Many thanks for keeping a date with Newsline as always. I am Becky Madujemu, grateful to host you. A woman is murdered by her neighbors while a man survives the kidnapper's den are two crime stories that will leave you in shock. Someone who attempted suicide and now knows better has a word for the despondent, while a custody battle set a biological parent and foster parents at war. There's also a family in need of saving as extreme weather pattern takes its toll on their abode. Then you will enjoy some merrymaking in our second part. For now, I will pass the spotlight on to Elizabeth Omori as she brings us the news. See you all later.
Thank you so much, Becky. Thanks for joining us on the news segment of the program. The Presidency has responded to recent comments made by former President Olusegun Obasanjo, saying such statements are an attempt to divide the nation, while President Muhammadu Buhari continues to build the nation.
Statement signed by Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media, Garba Shehu, contrary to assertions by a few analysts. The recent speech in which President Buhari advised West African presidents against tenure elongation beyond constitutional limits has been consistent with his long-held views on the need to adhere to the rule of law. The recent increase in leaders proposing or actually extending term limits is a cause for concern among Democrats in the sub-region, given its propensity for destabilizing the states and the region. Therefore, President Buhari's advocacy is consistent with his principles and in line with the current policies of his administration, and indeed that of the ECOWAS Charter, that term limits must be respected and that the change of government is only permissible through the ballot box. Having cleared this misconception, the statement adds, Chief Obasanjo should sheath the sword and wrest the pretense about the Messiah who has misled him to pronounce, often wrongly, as he did in the 2019 elections, about the life and death of Nigerian governments. As some commentators are already suggesting, Chief Obasanjo should, in accordance with his mantra as a statesman, get involved with problem solving.
Now, to the state of the nation, President Muhammadu Buhari's assumption of office in 2015 prevented Nigeria from becoming a failed state after a long stretch of rapacious and ruthless leadership. Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed stated this in a statement signed by Special Assistant Segun Adeyemi. Here are details of the statement.
In the statement recalled that President Buhari came into office at a time when the country was bombarded by insurgents who occupied a part of the country's territory, and a moment that the nation's wealth had been looted dry, with little or nothing to show for the nation's huge earnings, especially in the area of infrastructure. He said it is therefore a cruel irony that those who frittered away a great opportunity to put Nigeria on a sound socio-economic footing at a time of financial buoyancy, and those who planted a seed of insecurity in some parts of the country today are the same ones pointing accusing fingers at a reformist government. The minister said their situation would have been much worse, but for the deft management of resources, unprecedented fight against corruption, determined battle against insurgency and banditry, as well as the abiding courage of President Buhari in piloting the ship of the state. Nigeria, he said, is not a failed state, but a nation that is courageously tackling its challenges and building a solid infrastructure for socio-economic development. Lai Mohammed maintained that no government in the history of the country has done so much with little as the Buhari administration is doing, with 60% less national income. With the COVID-19 pandemic forcing a global shutdown and a drastic fall in global oil demand, Nigeria lost 60% of its earnings. Yet, the administration has ensured that not a single worker has been retrenched, paid salaries as and when due, and has continued to build infrastructures like roads, rails, bridges, and power, among others. Lai Mohammed said Nigeria is on the road to greatness, despite the challenges confronting the nation, citing the hard push towards food sufficiency, the modernization of the rail system, the nationwide construction of roads and bridges, reform in the oil and gas sector, the unprecedented anti-corruption battle, diversification of the economy, and a renewed effort to ensure a steady power supply, anchored on a three-phase project that is expected to deliver 25,000 megawatts of electricity in the next few years. The minister thanked Nigerians for their perseverance and understanding, especially against the backdrop of the stifling effects of the COVID-19 pandemic on the economy. He concluded that those who genuinely love Nigeria will support rather than subvert the committed leadership the nation now enjoys.
And now to budget matters. Federal government agencies and the Presidency have held consultations for the 2021 budget. The Permanent Secretary of State House, Mr. Tijani Umar, led the 2021 budget bilateral meeting between government agencies under the Presidency and officials of the Federal Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning. In a statement signed by the Deputy Director Information State House, Atta Essa says the virtual meeting was attended by chief executives and key budget, finance and accounts staff of the Bureau of Public Enterprises, Bureau of Public Procurement, Nigeria Extractive Industries, Transparent Initiative, National Institute of Policy and Strategic Studies, Nigerian Financial Intelligence Units, National Agricultural Land Development Authority, and the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. The Permanent Secretary, State House says MDAs have been directed to work assiduously to conclude the budget bilateral meetings as scheduled in order to get the 2021 budget ready for transmission to the National Assembly by President Muhammadu Buhari this month. The latest budget circular issued by the Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning puts the expenditure ceiling of the 2021 pre-bilateral proposal for the Presidency at 10 billion, compared with 15.3 billion naira of the revised 2020 budget passed by the National Assembly. Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari has commended the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, for organizing a successful ministers' retreat from September 7 to 8, 2020. The President, in a letter to the SGF, said he was impressed with the performance at the retreat, welcoming his organizational competence and comprehensive speech delivered at the beginning of the second day of the retreat. The President also commended the intellectual inputs by the panel chaired by the former Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Alhaji Yali Ahmed. Now, following the threat by the joint health sector unions to commence a nationwide industrial action from 12 midnight Sunday, the federal government has declared the planned strike as unnecessary, ill-timed and illegal. It has therefore directed the various unions in the health sector operating under the umbrella of the joint health sector unions not to go ahead with the strike, saying the Ministry of Labour and Employment has prevented the dispute with the ongoing conciliation initiated last week. The Ministry of Labour and Employment says going ahead with the action would be in clear breach of the LIO principles and conventions on strike and Section 18 of the Trades Disputes Act, caption T8 laws of the Federation of Nigeria, 2004. The Minister of Labour and Employment urged Joyson not to twist or intimidate the federal government that has shown clear commitment to tackling the challenges in the sector, as evidenced by the huge resources it has been pouring into the sector since the global COVID-19 pandemic broke out. The statement therefore urged the leadership of the various unions making up Joyson to have a rethink on the strike by putting the welfare of the patients and Nigeria first. And in other news, Society for Forensic Accounting and Fraud Prevention has expressed readiness to offer the needed technical assistance to federal government to recover and remitted 1.2 trillion naira to the Consolidated Revenue Fund by 122 federal government agencies. This came to the fore at the graduation ceremony of the third batch of professional forensic accountants conducted at Anti-Corruption Academy of Nigeria, Kebbi. Suraj Abdullahi reports.
The federal government towards digital economy requires more sophisticated scientific approaches into fraud and other financial crimes prevention. The Society for Forensic Accounting and Fraud Prevention sees itself as key player in actualizing the federal government's digital economy drive and the fight against corruption.
We made it very clear today that the Society for Forensic Accounting and Fraud Prevention is willing to assist the federal government to recover the 1.2 trillion of revenue operating surplus that has not been remitted to the Consolidated Revenue Fund.
And the least we can do as accountants is raise practitioners who will combat this monster.
These certified professional forensic accountants have a huge task in addressing financial frauds.
For any agency, you can hardly steal their money without the accountants knowing. So the challenge I'm giving them is that they should go out and make a difference.
We ensure that we not only reduce fraud, we might minimize it for the growth of the nation.
Being an accountant, I need to advance my cause, joining in the crusade of fighting corruption.
Due to society awareness and growing intolerance of fraudulent activities, the demand for forensic accountants is rapidly increasing. Hence, this induction ceremony. From Kebbi, Suraj Abdullahi, NTA News.
Now, to the devastating effects of flood, residents of Oyebanjo Street in Ketu area of Lagos are yet to come to terms with the loss of 2 children in their vicinity who were swept away by the flood that occurred following Saturday's downpour. Annie Daniels was at the scene of the incident to bring us an update.
I'm here at Oyebanjo Street where the flooding occurred, and I also have here with me an eyewitness who is here to tell us what she knows about the incident. Thank you, madam. Tell us what happened.
Last night, the thing has been happening for years. When it's raining, everywhere will be flooded, water will enter everywhere, even the canal, nobody can pass. Last night, people fell inside. I have to be telling them to go back and not to enter there. I stand there around 11 o'clock, directing them to go back. We are inside in the corner that 2 people passed through here. You understand that the water letted 2 people from up there.
Dead bodies again.
Dead body again too. That's why we all rush out.
The efforts they are making towards rebuilding this canal, it has opened the place so much that a lot of volume of water that are passing through cannot even be contained with what they have done. And even that the houses is still a few meters away from here. It's affected.
Well, these people who are doing this work, they're supposed to do temporary crossing.
The environment can best be described as an eyesore. The stench from the water and dirt littered all over the place could not deter the residents from crossing over from one side of the canal to another. They are left with no choice.
They mark most of the places, and we see that they are not pulled down. You understand? And the engineer is making us understand that the measurement they gave to him from along, so that's what he's using.
As it is now, residents of this area are apprehensive that the next rainfall may not be a friendly one at all. They only pray that the government of the day will come to their rescue by providing them a walkway. In Lagos, Annie Daniels, NTA News.
And major highways linking Nigeria, Niger and Benin Republics through Kebbi states have been temporarily shut down as portions of the roads were submerged by flood. This is coming as President Muhammad Buhari's delegation is in the state to sympathize with the government and people. The delegation is headed by the Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, Musa Babali, reports.
There is not yet in sight any sign of relief for most communities in Kebbi State, as flood waters continue to spread into more areas and outside the state, wreaking havoc along highways. Houses, farmlands, schools and health facilities have been submerged by the flood in 14 local government areas of the state. Highways like this one in Argungu, which link Nigeria and Niger, is partially closed as the 4 major bridges and culverts on the road are already showing signs of collapse. Military, immigration and other security agencies have been deployed to control vehicular movement.
We are not here to only sympathize. We are here to give hope, to give confidence, and to assure our people that their resilience is acknowledged.
In Bagudo local government area, almost all social and economic activities have been put on hold as the flood water has taken over most parts of the community. In the meantime, Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, Muhammad Sabananunu, says the President has directed the ministry to come up with initiatives towards addressing food security in the flood-affected states.
What I would appeal to our teeming population of farmers is not to give up because of this flood, but we turn this flood to our own advantage. We are going to prepare seriously for the dry season farming.
Immediately the water starts to recede, we can take from the nurseries and plant. We have a variety that can mature under 80 days. And we are confident if we start a nursery with that variety now, we can harvest it before the weather becomes too cold for us to produce properly.
The minister conveyed President Muhammadu Buhari's sympathy message to the traditional rulers in Gwandu and Argungu Emirate Council. From Birnin Kebbi, Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
We now shift attention to COVID-19 update. AstraZeneca and Oxford University have resumed their COVID-19 vaccine clinical trials in the United Kingdom after they were suspended due to a neurological reaction in a study subject. Just as global tracker of the pandemic shows confirmed cases now surpass 29 million and a death toll closer to 1 million. Justin Bemwe brings us details.
Oxford University and AstraZeneca are to resume the international clinical trial of their proposed coronavirus vaccine candidate. Speculation that there might be a significant delay in the much-watched study turns out to have been unjustified. The trial was paused last Sunday when a participant fell ill in the UK, the university said. A rapid review by the trial's Independent Safety Review Committee and national regulators have now concluded that it is safe to resume inoculating new participants. The university said all follow-up appointments with people already vaccinated continued as normal during the week's pause. In another development, an Israeli cabinet minister tendered his resignation in protest at a looming coronavirus lockdown. He argued that it would unfairly impede religious celebrations of Jewish holidays. Housing Minister Yaakov Litzman, who heads an ultra-Orthodox Jewish party in Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's conservative coalition, in his resignation later said, "This wrongs and scorns hundreds of thousands of citizens." Although a sign of stranded relations between Netanyahu and his ultra-Orthodox political partners, Litzman's move was unlikely to have any immediate effect on the stability of the veteran leader's governing coalition. In the meantime, the governor of Istanbul has banned companies from hosting weddings and similar gatherings as part of new measures to combat the spread of coronavirus in Turkey's most populous city. Along with this, a ban on concerts and festivals in open spaces was also reintroduced. Now let's take a look at the numbers. Statistics as at 6 p.m. Sunday from Worldometer indicate 29,055,639 confirmed cases globally, with a record of 926,026 deaths and 20,913,349 recoveries. And records following the coronavirus tracker in Africa show 1,347,420 confirmed cases with 32,521 deaths and 1,094,195 recoveries. Out of these numbers, Nigeria recorded 56,177 confirmed cases, 1,078 deaths and 44,088 recoveries. And this is where the update ends. Thank you for watching.
Thank you, Justin. Now, one of the attendant consequences of the coronavirus pandemic is that it created fear of visiting hospitals or healthcare facilities for medical attention, even when necessary. Hakimat Aliuk takes a look at the situation in the Federal Capital Territory and level of fear among people.
The outbreak of coronavirus in Nigeria, going to the healthcare facility comes with a phobia for many people, as the hospital to them could be a place of contact with sick people who might be carriers of the virus or other infections, amongst other concerns.
People are scared. I can't even go to Gwagwalada, especially in Gwagwalada, at the moment because of I know that place is an isolation center.
And some even believe that when they go to the hospital, they can even be
they can even be tested positive and come back and maybe die before that time out of fear.
With the fears no doubt established, Dr. Zainab Suleiman, a medical doctor at Wuse District Hospital, Abuja, advised the general public not to deprive themselves from seeking medical attention.
The hospital has ensured that all patients are to be masked. Both the doctors and both the patients. So even patients that are admitted, they have no fear, they have nothing to worry because there's a considerable number of distance between every patient to also reduce the risk of transmission. Anybody that is at risk or possible, it might be a possible carrier, they are usually isolated.
The fear, however, is experiencing a decline with increase in awareness and adequate information amongst people.
When you take all the necessary precautions, you wash your hands, you clean yourself, you put the mask.
People were right to have the phobia, but now the hospitals are safe to visit.
Others maintain that taking personal responsibility to stay safe when visiting the hospital or any other place outside your comfort zone remains key to protecting oneself from contracting coronavirus and preventing the spread. In Abuja, Hakimat Aliu, NTA.
To condolences now, President Muhammad Buhari has expressed deep sadness over the death of Sadiya, daughter of Senator Aliu Magat Takada Wamako, on Thursday. In a condolence statement signed by the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, says the death of Wamako's daughter came as a shock. President Buhari explained that though death is no respecter of age, the loss of such a young woman in her prime is particularly touching and moving. The President prays to Allah to comfort Senator Wamako and give him the fortitude to overcome this great loss of a dear daughter. May Allah grant her eternal bliss and reward her good deeds with paradise, the President added. Meanwhile, President of the Senate Hamid Lawan has commiserated with Senator Aliu Wamako over the death of his daughter Sadiya. In a statement by the Special Advisor to the President of the Senate on Media and Publicity, Ola Awuni, Senator Lawan described the tragic death of Sadiya as a tender age as painful, but urged Senator Wamako to take solace in the fact that Allah gives and takes as He wills. Similarly, Chairman of the Northern Governors Forum in Governor Plateau State, Simon Bakolalong, has condoled with the former governor of Sokoto State, Senator Aliu Wamako. Governor Lalong, in a condolence message on behalf of his colleagues, expressed deep regret over the sudden death of Sadiya, which he described as a great loss to her family and entire people of Sokoto State. He also prayed God to comfort Senator Wamako and members of his family at this difficult moment. And next is Sports Update with Amanze Marcus.